There we go. So hello. Hello for this, to this very, very special meditation. Celebrating births. And so gratitude feels like it's landing here for me. And just earlier, the invitation was to tune into what are you thankful for? When we're giving thanks, what is it that we're really thankful for? And the thing that instantly lands here is peace. Inner and outer. But mainly inner, because ultimately inner is all there really is. Peace is an inside job. So as I find myself mentioning inside, see if we can, each one of us here, dive in. So finding a comfortable position for your body. And wanting to reiterate here that there is no correct, perfect, precise way to meditate. So take up a posture, position that really suits your body, that really supports all of you right now. And inviting gentleness, inviting slowness, and inviting curiosity as we delve inside and creatively navigate self and all the manifestations of self, everything that arises within the awareness. Is the domain of self. So at any moment in time, whenever we become aware of a part, the question is, who is aware or what is aware of a part? And this has been mentioned on the group earlier in the week, and it feels like it's landing here. So I shall continue down this path of object, subject, and the witness. So first, I'd like to set up a sort of analogy. So imagine, whether you have your eyes open or closed, this will work fine. Imagine the space in your room is aware presence, a little bit like self. And then within that space, there appear to be objects. So there might be some tables, there might be some chairs, pictures on the wall, all sorts of things. So these appear in the space of the room. Now, if we had a human sat in that room, they would see, and if they were sat on the chair or eating at the table, they will have an experience of these objects. So the person that's having an experience is called the subject. And yet still the subject and the object occur or arise within or manifest from the space. If the space wasn't there, neither would the subject or the object be there. And so you could say, on some level, we can't separate those three things. It's sort of chicken or the egg. But in order for there to be subject and an object, we must first have space. This sort of changeless, ever-present, formless ground that allows for infinite potentiality. And the sort of aspect of this space must be that it must be open to all, to anything that appears to be within or come out from. Now, if we take that and play with that within the inner world, we have the subject as the multiplicity and diversity of the parts in us. And then each of those experience or are subject to objects such as thoughts, feelings, sensations, memories, hopes, fears. And then subject being the parts and object being the thoughts and the feelings, occur or arise within the space of self. So this is the witness. This is that aspect of us that is aware. The ever-present, changeless, formless, open space that accepts all, nourishes all, sees all. And another way to conceptualize this is to imagine self as the open sky. And then the parts as all the weather. And that could come in the form of a cloud or rain, or you can have a mixture of both. And when you have a cloud and rain, there's a rainbow. There's the warmth of the sun. And yet the spaciousness accepts all of it and is aware of all of it. So can it ever be true that the space in your room, or that the openness of the sky, can it be true that that can ever reject anything that appears? Can you ever imagine the sky saying to the darker clouds, nope, you're not welcome here. I only want lovely, fluffy, white clouds. I don't want thick, gloomy clouds. So if you search within, take a little look around and just notice who or what appears to reject certain object within your consciousness? Is it truly self, or could it be that it's another part? Perhaps the inner critic, the inner judge. So look inside, really take a good look inside and just notice, can it ever be true that it's self that has any resistance or opposition to any part that surfaces? Or is it another part? And is it true that that part is in the driving seat and has the power to affect the inner world? It may appear to be very firmly wedged in the driving seat. That is true. It may appear to be very removed from self and not aware that there is this compassionate being here that accepts all. But appearances are not what's truly going on within the inner world. Within the inner world, self is primal. Self is native. Self is native to the land of your being. Self was there first. You see how it feels to really examine and inquire about, could it ever be true that any part of me isn't welcome here? And notice what happens. Notice any subtle shifts in the body. And different parts that inhabit the body in different ways could respond in different ways. There could be contraction in one part of the body whilst relaxation in a different part of your body. And both can go on at the same time, and both are true. Just take a little moment to scan from the top of the head down to the feet and notice how these parts have inhabited your body, how they've affected different muscle groups, and how they show up now. Often the back of the neck, the jaw, the shoulders, your belly, the hips, the hands. Often those are the parts that can really feel tense. See, this moment you can notice what is unfolding here. And notice if there's any recognition from these parts, that there's someone here gently witnessing. And the witnessing here isn't a sharply focused, laser pointed light glaring at different parts one by one under sort of a scrutiny. It's more of a gentle bird's eye view glow that sees all at once, knows all at once. Whenever we find ourselves very pointed, very focused, sometimes these can be the fixer parts, the parts of us that really want us to heal. But there's still an agenda there. There's still some sense of contraction in the heart. So just notice how this scanning of your body, how it unfolds. Is it just sort of a gentle glow that welcomes all? Or is it a laser beam that's sort of being sent out in search for something, seeking, hoping, wishing, wanting, manufacturing? And if you do find that it's more of a focused laser beam, see if you can invite a little bit of softness. Just allow the edges of that light to diffuse, soften, blur the edges, and start to witness your body as a whole. And as you're doing that, you might notice that the shoulders drop a little bit. The jaw loosens. You might take a deeper breath. The heart opens. The belly flops. You might find yourself smiling, yawning, sighing, and maybe just leaning back in your chair or falling deeper and deeper into the surface that you're on, and really letting go of every cell, letting it just be held by the surface that you're on. And this is a kind of snow globe effect. Before we come to meditation, you might find there's multiple parts that have been thrown up into the air, all scattered, busy. And then as we allow ourselves to settle, we might notice the parts just giving in, expanding, dissolving, landing within self. And really allowing self to hold. See if you can notice a sense of all the particles drawing down deeper and deeper. And really allowing yourself to luxuriate in your own breathing. Allowing the stillness, the silence, to feel nourishing. And imagine any parts drifting down like snowflakes in the night. And as they all settle down, everything feels calm, connected. There is curiosity, clarity, compassion. Courage, creativity, and confidence. Notice how when everything is settled down, there's greater perspective. A portal opens for playfulness. And the playfulness is the lila, the dance of the parts, the multiplicity that appears within self, the many within the one. It's joyful. It's joyful to be able to witness this dance when everything is settled and calm. When we realize that self has got it all covered. And if you do notice there's any parts here that are still calling out for love, show them now. Show these parts now. The calm, quiet, weighted blanket of self. Just here. Always present. Always ready. Infinite time self has to listen to the parts. If you can make now, make the parts aware that you are here now. And like the quiet earth at nighttime, peaceful. Letting the presence of self be felt. Notice how the parts respond. How there's some tears. Is there a big sigh? Thank goodness that you're here now. And you might have a realization that self has always been here now. Veiled, temporarily veiled behind surface cloud, parts coming and going, maybe clusters of parts forming thicker cloud cover. And yet, the light of self has always filtered through. Who but self was there all along? Who but self was aware of the parts all along? And self doesn't want any prizes for this. There's no Oscars here. It's natural for self to have been there all along. Self hasn't had to try hard. There may be self-like parts, the parts that are still striving and seeking and wanting. But self just effortlessly gives life to all, loves all, welcomes all, whispers and sings sweet lullabies to all. And ultimately calls back home to itself. Every cry for help from the part is a call for love and an invitation from self to for the parts to see, for the parts to rest. You've always been home. So every cry for help is an opportunity for a U-turn. We turn around and look at self and go, ah. Every time we find parts chasing their own tail, looking for peace in the outside, in the outer world, we make a U-turn. We come back home. Home to this. Home to this quiet earth. This rich, fertile ground. The ground of being that's always here. And every time parts venture out as a way of attempting to ease the pain, self says, no, no, come back here. I'm here. But it doesn't enforce it. It doesn't enforce that parts must be somehow locked up at home. Self allows the parts to play like a little child that explores the world. How many times has a mother told a child, don't put this in your mouth, darling. Don't touch this, it's hot. And what does the little child do? Goes and does it, explores, is seeking, wanting. And the mum's always there. So see, it's the nature of these parts. This is this leela, this playfulness, this hide and seek. We lose ourselves, we find ourselves. And every time, if we don't forget to make that U-turn, to go back within, the only place that can really ever satiate, if we don't forget this home that's always here, then playfulness is always welcome. And the playfulness will be co-created with self, from self. This is this creativity from the sacral chakra, the lower dantian. The spices, the agni, the inner fire, warming, glowing, creating. Never ending, one form merging into the next, one object after the next. Just coming back to this notion now of object, subject, and witness. Initially, it's helpful to be able to conceptualize this. But eventually you notice that it all unfolds within the one now, within the one here. What does here mean for you? Does here have a limit? Is it limited by the body? Is it limited by the room you're in? Is here limited by the country that you're in? Is here limited to planet Earth? What is here? Can we touch here? Can we quantify it? Or could it be that what we refer to as here is simply awareness or being? So aware of objects, body, chair, breathing, thought, feeling, thought, body. Unending flow of being aware. There's no big beginning, no end. There's only now. Is there a recognition here for you? But the here and now that we all share has no boundaries. As we explore this space, I cannot tell where I end and you begin. And that's peace for me. This is how I experience peace. Closer than my own breath. Intimate with all. And this is what I am giving thanks for, giving thanks for peace. Not forced peace, not needed peace. This is peace without cause, peace without invocation of any sort, natural, causeless peace. So as we come to the end of this meditation session, if you can just momentarily allow, be, witness, experience this peace that is our shared being. I'm sending a note of gratitude, if that feels right, to this Leela, all these parts that perform this cosmic inner dance. And returning to the body, the sensation of the body on the surface that you're on, and welcoming everything that is here. Sending you all so much peace.